Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. We are here at the Charlotte Roval in memory, essentially, of the Rockingham, UK racetrack that was scanned in 2015 and has never, ever since come to light since then. I, unfortunately, will be away just for a few moments, but I will be back just in time to give you the starting grid for this race. Right, so I am finally back. Apologies for that silence for a few moments. The grid is now up on the racetrack, and the grid is actually starting to get set up on the racetrack, rather. And we should be green for 35 laps in a few moments. So it looks like it is going to be a standing start. So we're going to quickly go through your starting grid. As we have Nash DeJong and Reese Saunders, Ian Cornish and David Webb, Josh Wong and Mark Redford. They're all first through sixth. Adam Wright and John Jarrett, seventh and eighth. Ninth and 10th will be Stuart Barnett and Michael Jones. Chris Bourne and Christopher Kearney start 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th are Linus Brostrom and Paul Cook and Linus Brostrom. Jake Forster and Ben Summers. As the field is now green, we are underway here. The rest of the grid coming across the bottom of the screen. As the green flag is out for 35 laps. So great start by Nigel De Jong. Reese Saunders is second, third Ian Cornish. And we'll see if we can get Michael Jones in here a little bit later on. Apologies for the logo still being up on the screen. I'll get that off right now. As they head down into the chicane, this is going to be pretty insane because these trucks aren't really made for the chicane, but looks like everyone is going to quickly and very slowly make it through in time to get past that chicane. Reese Saunders, I haven't seen him a lot, but he is going to be managing to make his way through as much as possible. So De Jong leads, Saunders is in second, third place. It'll be Ian Cornish. David Webb in fourth, fifth place will also be Josh Wong. So a decent start by everybody early on. This exit onto the NASCAR circuit is going to be very, very deadly. Everyone is very quickly spread out, and I don't believe that we will have any... I believe we will be having full course yellows. Other than that, De Jong is very far ahead in this lead, and everyone's still making it through. And so you have Jones and Pomfrey battling side by side for position 12. Jones relinquishes that, as Jones is the sponsor of this race, essentially. So thanks to him for that. As this is the Rest in Peace Rockingham Memorial Race. As again, it was scanned in 2015 by iRacing, and the next thing we know, it's still not here on the surface. So the Roval is the closest that we can get, essentially, to that racetrack. Unfortunately, Rockingham, UK is now a parking lot. So just like similar to Texas World Speedway, many tracks are starting to get taken down just to be parking lots. So Paul Cook and Ben Summers. Ben Summers did not start this race. Jake Forster in pit road early on. I can see what happened to him. He's been in pit road for a decent amount of time as well. So we'll see what happened to him. And it looks like it was just off over in the chicane on the back straightaway. And through the chicane. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, that makes sense on why Forster had went to pit road. So right now he's currently sitting in pit road, unfortunately, and he's pretty much out of this race for good, as Saunders has fallen back to position number 5. De Jong is 6.2 seconds ahead, so there was a massive incident as we're looking at that replay. Or Nigel De Jong has just had an insane amount of practice. Rockingham actually is an oval track over in the UK, so I actually thought it was a road course for a second. But nonetheless, unfortunately, it no longer exists. Just like unlike the gap between Cornish and De Jong, where that massively exists. David Webb, hard shot into the outside wall over on the exit of the chicane. He is possibly done. They'll get it back going, but there's the cost. There's a damaged engine. My goodness, we'll take an onboard look here. Oh, man. He almost had it, then he just lost pretty much all traction that he had. So now it is Nigel De Jong, Ian Cornish, Reese Saunders, Josh Wong, and Mark Redford positions 1 through 5 at this point in time. So right now I'm trying to get around the right side of Redford, but it's not going to work for the time being. Oh my goodness. Yeah, every time on the exit, we're going to be very close to the outside wall, right on board Josh Wong, who's just behind Saunders in third. I can hear how careful he is being here. Amright also manages to make it through. National De Jong must have had a ton of practice at this track, because 30 laps to go, and he is long gone at this point. 9 seconds separates him and Ian Cornish. This could slightly help out, as I'm going to take a double check at the point standings going into this race. Someone has made some contact. That's John Jarrett off the corner. Excuse me. As he had made contact ever so slightly. That's on the entry as well to the race. That's actually on the entry to the road course. And it looks like it just snapped around on him. And he had almost had it. Oh, man, that's a 79 of Chris Bourne. That's the contact that was hurt when he tried to get back going. So unfortunately, while John Jarrett is still going on, he's got a lot of damage to show for that. As far as De Jong, he slightly scrapes the outside wall. Ian Cornish must have spun off the corner, off the chicane, because he was just a little bit slow. Yeah, he had a very close moment here. First corner, great. Second curb and the outside, and he must have had a slowdown penalty as well. But it does not look like it for the time being. In pit road is Stuart Barnett with heavy damage, so we're going to head back to another replay instead, as it was on the entry to the chicane. And it looks like he just broke loose, hard shot to the inside. Completely moved around the engine to the point where it's just fully destroyed. So many drivers not taking to this track very lightly, as De Jong is flying through that chicane without any problem whatsoever. So he has definitely had a lot of practice. As far as second place, Saunders is behind Cornish, looking to strike for a second place position. As far as the point standings go, so we'll be taking a double check at that. This is, of course, the first time that all these drivers have made their way to the Charlotte Roval. Naja De Jong currently in the lead of the point standings by 7 points. So 7 points over Ian Cornish. Naja De Jong leads. So he is pretty much good to go. But unfortunately for Ian Cornish, he's got Saunders now down to the right-hand side. A very wide gap. Saunders overshoots into the grass. Barely saves it, though. That runoff really helped him out. He's sideways, however, on the exit, but he's still managing to keep going. And another driver with more issues on the inside, I believe, as Christopher Kearney in the 82, and it is, unfortunately. Another replay coming up. That's about 5-6 drivers at this point that have already had so much bad luck on the exit and overshot. Just locked the tires and nowhere to go. A lot of drivers destroying their engines today. Well, back to third place, Ian Cornish. Second is Saunders. First is Naja De Jong. closest battle looks to be between Pomfrey in 11th, and 12th is Mike S. Robertson. Of course, those are the point standings with one drop week. Oh, there goes Pomfrey into the inside wall. He is relatively done. I don't think his engine is smoking, but he does have heavy damage, as we saw that happen just in front of the 54 of Mike Robertson. Oh man, Jared had overshot as well. He had went through. So just this track is not being kind to many drivers, unfortunately. Mr. Nigel De Jong, where we are on lap 10 of 35, closing in on 25 laps to go. So right now, De Jong currently leads. Second is Saunders. Third place, Ian Cornish. Fourth is Josh Wong. Fifth is sliding into the chicane, Mark Redford. Linus Brostrom in sixth. Seventh place, Chris Bourne. Ken Bracey in eighth. Ninth, and Mike Robertson. And 10th is Carl Hayes. John Jarrett's 11th. 12th place, barely on the lead lap, is Jonathan Rex, because that's where the leader is. So De Jong at this point is clear of the lead by about 17 seconds. So essentially, unless something happens, we're going to be focusing on the other drivers at this point. For example, Brostrom and Redford, they're the closest right now on the track, and that is for fifth. Really isn't a point to, I mean, it's pretty clear on how far De Jong is outwards in the lead. So we'll just keep that lead graphic up, as we are now on 25 laps to go. Slightly closing in on fifth is Brostrom. Oh, really close to that back bumper. It's at 71, but both over the curb, managing to hang on to the lead. Brostrom got a little bit of a worse exit. Mike Robertson possibly having issues. And yet between him and Carl Hayes and Ken Bracey, it's pretty close as well. So we'll follow that battle as well, which is essentially for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Ken Bracey, Carl Hayes, and Mike Robertson, all within a decent amount of distance of each other. So Chris Bourne all on his lonesome, but as for 8th place, going wide is Carl Hayes over the curbs. He'll possibly get a slowdown penalty here, and he does. Doesn't seem pretty visible though, so he may have just decided to let that 54 on by. Yeah, he's going to go right back to the back bumper, trying to hang with the 54. And Robertson just decides to let him by for the time being. 21 cars have started, and there's multiple in pit road that have visited pit road at this point. Carl Hayes is one of them. He's currently in 9th. As for Ken Bracey, however, he's just been sitting here up in 8th. And lap time comparison, well, the last lap time for Carl Hayes is a 1 minute 21.304 seconds. And there it shows right here in NASCAR turn 3 and 4 in the oval, as they both go side by side. Who's going to get the preferred line is the question. It will be Carl Hayes, but he'll actually back off as a cloud cover here hits the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And look at this, trying to get to the right-hand side, almost pretty much on top of the back bumper. And he's going to make the move, tags the 23 around, saves his Ken Bracey, no contact, and the 54 is also involved. Both drivers keep going, however, but at what cost? Because the 54's engine is smoking. at this point. Carl Haas also had damage. Ken Bracey had gotten the worst of it as he's still trying to get around. I'm not sure any other drivers were involved. It does not seem to be so. Again, this was on the entry as Bracey had broke loose. Haas tagged him unintentionally, and look at that hard shot. My goodness. And here comes, oh, De Jong had gotten a piece of that. Nigel De Jong had gotten a piece of that accident. As Ken Bracey had finally gotten back going. 17 seconds. That 17-second gap has now fallen to 12 seconds. But still, almost a full second faster is De Jong. There's Jonathan Rex in the 10th place position. He's a lap down, unfortunately. He's now 9th as he passed John Jarrett. So now it's going to be between Cornish and Wong for 3rd and 4th place. And the gap is slowly closing on the lead because Saunders doesn't have any damage whatsoever at this point. Yeah, it's definitely closing, and that's why De Jong decided to head to pit road, repair it as of right now, as Saunders is going to be closing in here in a few moments for the lead. And there he is. New leader at the start-finish line. It should be Reese Saunders. We'll find out. That time around, it may have been Nigel De Jong's last lap led because he led that lap in pit road. So he is in pit road right now. There are no fast repairs. He is deciding to take tires, however, as Cornish makes his way around. So Saunders is now the new leader with 22 laps to go at the start-finish line. De Jong falls back to what is now 6th place. Linus Brostrom going to attack Mark Redford for 4th. So just riding on board, watching Linus Brostrom try and get up to Mark Redford. Still, actually now, just exiting pit road will be De Jong. He's fallen 36 seconds back from the lead. So at that point, his lead is pretty much over at this point in time. He does have a decent amount of time to make it back up if he can, but may be over. So that means with one drop week involved, in Cornish, as he gets the curb off the, off the chicane, heavily gets the curb, mind you, as well. That means with one drop week, Ian Cornish is back in the lead. And I say with one drop week because there's multiple, there's one without a drop week and 1 point standings with a drop week. But without, Cornish remains in the lead for the time being. Josh Wong has gotten himself a gap after Cornish had messed up. So now the closest battle is between Redford and Brostrom. So now drivers that are out essentially from about 15th on to 21st, which is the last grid number that we had. Redford hits the wall heavily in NASCAR's turn 1 and 2. Here comes Brostrom down to the inside, and he'll take the pass. And take that free position as well. And it's going to get through as clean as possible. He's not really on the brakes as of there, but now they are. Redford also makes it through. So now it's Linus Brostrom in 4th, Redford in 5th, and it's still, unfortunately, a decent ways away from the lead is Nigel De Jong. Only 8 cars in the lead lap, the last one being Carl Haas right here. And just now starting to exit the road course is the leader, Reese Saunders. Josh Wong in the number 16 is in 2nd place. 3rd Ian Cornish, 4th. Linus Broström not too far behind as he nearly misses the wall. Redford is in 5th. Nigel de Jong 6th. 7th. Chris Bourne 8th. Carl Hayes 1 lap down is Jonathan Rex. John Jarrett is in 10th as Rex is in 9th. Ken Bracey in 11th. This is for position as well. Michael Jones is 1 lap down. Pomfrey 2 laps down, and he just may pull it off the track at this rate, unfortunately. In pit road is going to be Mike Robertson. Adam Wright also in pit road. Same with Jake Forrester. As Josh Wong heads to pit road for possibly tires because he has absolutely no damage on that truck. So into his pit stall goes the number 16. Let's see what he decides to do. Takes right sides for the time being. As that second driver leaving pit road is the with the 666. No, it is not actually. Mark Redford's in a world of trouble either way. As Josh Wong leaves pit row in 5th. Redford tries to navigate the lap traffic. Closest driver in front of him is that 81 of Cornish, separated by the 23. You have to give a little bit of room there. Ken Bracey a lap down. And there's Ian Cornish just ahead of Redford. Cornish has not yet went to pit road. Broström is just ever so slightly up ahead, out of shot there. Broström heads to pit road. Cornish, Redford, they both stay out. Oh, Ken Bracey almost accidentally took out the 31 of Redford. As Saunders is also in pit road, the race leader has relinquished the lead from 5 laps as he takes 4 tires. Cornish and Redford now 1 and 2. Saunders is now 3rd, Broström 4th. Josh Wong is going to be moving to 4th in a few moments, actually, as he's going to be wheeling his way around these corners. So the 2 drivers that have yet to pit are both Ian Cornish and Mark Redford. Their positions 1 and 2. Chris Bourne in the 79 has yet to pit. He's kept his truck relatively clean for the most part of this race. And Ken Bracey has not pitted. Neither has John Jarrett. Unfortunately for Bracey and Jarrett, though, they are both 1 lap down at this point. They're actually back on the lead lap. And they're actually back a lap down as live timing says otherwise. There goes Cornish to pit road. Will Redford join him? No, he stays out for 1 more lap. He wants to get that lap as much as possible. He wants to stay in this lead as, well, Saunders takes over 2nd place, which means Saunders at this rate will be taking back over 1st place. So Cornish finally in his own pit box. He's back out. Looks like he just took fuel only. So pretty much Ian Cornish saying, you know what, who needs tires? I could just use fuel only. So definitely not making any big moves for the time being. Michael Jones, unfortunately, a little bit slow at the corner. May have made some contact. As Mark Redford makes his way through the chicane onto the back straightaway into NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Reese Saunders closes that gap ever so slightly. Here comes Redford to pit road, and that means number 91 is going to be in the lead now. After 1 lap led by Redford, he heads to pit road. He's got a decent sizable gap away to Josh Wong, who's currently in 2nd. Saunders sets his 6th lap lead of the day. Redford smooth into his pit stall as Josh Wong makes his way by. Brostrom also makes his way by. He will now be scored third. Cornish fourth. De Jong in fifth. So not many close battles on the racetrack, as everyone at this point is officially pretty spread out for the most part. I mean, the closest that we have is third, fourth, and fifth, which are Brostrom, Cornish, and De Jong, but they have about a second to each other. Other than that, though, Saunders is in control of the field and in control of the lead. We're going to take one lap on board. No, never mind. He's going to head back to pit road. Not sure if he had any issues, but I'm going to find out, actually. We're going to stay focused on Saunders, as I'm not sure what exactly had happened to him. But he is back in pit road. So unless he picked up some extra damage or under-fueled, there really isn't a reason for him to be in pit road, but we will find out when he gets into his pit box here. Looks like he just under-fueled, actually. He's not taking any tires, or possibly repairing some damage as well. So he will be shoved down to fifth place, make that sixth, as Redford makes his way around. Saunders still in pit road. It's over 18 now, 20 seconds. Not sure if he sped on pit road, but it definitely would not be a 30-second penalty. We'll find out. 29 seconds, 30 seconds. And it's definitely repairing some damage as Josh Wong scrapes the wall ever so slightly off the corner. Saunders will remain in pit road, repairing some damage more than likely. Look at De Jong. He's finally making his move on Cornish for position number 3. Cornish not really putting up much of a fight, understandably enough, because one of the best lap that Cornish had is 2 seconds slower than De Jong. So we're going to take an onboard ride around this track with the 16 of Josh Wong. So you can see how much it takes to really get around here. Slight bug apparently over on YouTube's end. Unless I have actually been live for quite literally 6 minutes. I'm not seeing that over on OBS or the preview. So refreshing that. If the race has been live ever since the beginning, which I'm 100% sure about, then I'm not sure. Yeah, it has been. Alright, so YouTube is just bugged out ever so slightly today. So, aside from Josh Wong being in the lead, someone who is stuck in fourth apparently is the 81 of Ian Cornish, as Saunders apparently had gotten way too much damage. So, Reese Saunders is unfortunately out at this point. With another job for Bleed Stuart Pomfrey as well. He was mentioning in the chat that he locked brakes, that he Let's see, quote, locked brakes and died. So he is not incorrect on that one. De Jong, riding those curbs, it's very scarily enough as it is. But other than that, we will be getting an interview with Michael Jones after the race, as well as possibly your top three, but definitely Michael Jones, just so we can explain more about the Rockingham UK. As once again, it had been scanned by iRacing in 2013. As it looks like Michael Jones, speaking of which, commentator's curse right there, he may have either let John Jarrett by or he overshot. Yeah, it looks like he just overshot is all. Overshot, trying to let Redford by. And just a slow exit on the low side to let Jarrett by. Closing in on 11 laps to go here this time around. As Josh Wong leads the field by 6 seconds. I was about to say 6.7. It closed the gap. I think Broström is rapidly closing the gap. Take a look at the lap times when Broström comes across the line. Josh Wong has 118.102. We're going to wait for Broström to cross the line in about 5 seconds. And then his lap time, there it goes, it's updated. 1 minute and 17.651 seconds. So about half a tenth faster as Broström. So Broström could end up getting his a win here. He's definitely not giving up on that whatsoever. Best lap time comparisons, well, best lap was by Josh Wong, just by just over a tenth, and just about a tenth of a second over Linus Broström, in the 116.4 and the 116.5 for Broström. But driver that has not pitted whatsoever in this race is John Jarrett for 24 laps straight. Redford has the lowest tires. No, scratch that. Actually, yeah, he does have the lowest tires. Carl Hayes, rather, has the lowest tires. 4 laps on his tires ever since he had went to pit road. As for the lead, it is now 5.2 seconds. Oh, goodness, apologies. Hit the microphone there for a few moments. Should be fine. Other than that, 10 laps to go in 5.2 seconds. Ever so slightly separates Linus Broström from Josh Wong. And at 10 laps to go at this track, it's going to take a while, but while there's nothing to see back here in the mirror of Josh Wong, he does have to know about that time. It's sort of hovering about 5.5 seconds now. That time around, it's just Josh Wong's slowest lap this time by. Josh Wong has the advantage. So Mark Redford has caught up to Ian Cornish for the position of 4th place. As Cornish is trying to hang on to whatever position he can get at this point. He does not need to be shoved down in the field, but everyone else has other ideas, along with Nigel de Jong, because Cornish is the points leader coming into this race without a drag week. And just like that, he's gotten just past like he was standing still. Redford will fly into the chicane and out of it. Cornish follows. And right now, for the time being, Cornish is not having the best of days. So he's now at 1 position out, I should say, actually. He's 1 position separated from Nigel de Jong. I was looking at the timing screen incorrectly. As well, back to 5.3 seconds between himself and the leader is Broström, with 9 laps to go this time around. As for statistics, I believe officially it is Ian Cornish in the lead. But with one drop week, which is usually by the end of the season, Cornish would be second. At the moment, though, coming into this race, he was 18 points out. Josh Wong was 24 points out. This is from the points lead. So Josh Wong could get a massive advantage from this, along with De Jong, if he can somehow find his way up to second. Redford, well, unfortunately, he's not really in the hunt, as he's position 11 in the points. And Ian Cornish, the points leader, is now 4 positions out from Josh Wong, and 2 positions out from Nigel De Jong, both of which were behind him in the point standings coming into this race. Just as a reminder, next week for race number 7 of 9, as the season starts to come to a close, we head to Daytona International. As we head to Daytona International Speedway, apologies for that silence. Gonna redo that, and everything should be fine. Yeah, we do head to Daytona International Speedway, and well, after that, it's gonna be quite interesting. As far as tomorrow night goes, well, we head to the Scrambler Series on Monday nights, but other than that, I get the original picture back here with 7 laps to go at the start-finish line. Linus Broström has closed the gap to 4 seconds with 7 laps to go actually, and a 4-second gap. It could be possible Broström coming into this race in the point standings, and I get a double check on that just to make sure. Broström coming into this race without a drop week is over in position number 18, so nothing much for him to do aside from just shake up the points a little bit. With one drop week, however, Broström is still 18th. So Nigel De Jong, Ian Cornish, and Josh Wong are the top 3 in points with a drop week. Without a drop week, it is Cornish, Nigel De Jong, and Josh Wong. Just pretty much the complete opposite of what we see here today. Slowly closing in onto the first place position will be Broström. But for now, he's hanging on to that second place, as a huge, about a second was taken off of that gap, as Josh Wong leads his 10th lap of the day. Gap comparison, you can see it's very, very quickly closing, 2.8 seconds. This could come down in the final few laps, or maybe even just a couple laps to go, maybe even this time by if Josh Wong does mess up. But he's been running pretty well. He's just been very conservative in how he drives. Passing the lap car in the number 27 of Jonathan Rex, as our top 5 are on the lead lap. Luckily, a majority only from bad luck, no cautions. Distance looks so far over here for Linus Broström. And so we will come to 5 laps to go, a 2-second gap now as we head through the chicane on the back straightaway. Gonna have to figure out where to go. Oh my goodness. That was a little bit of a close moment there, but just in time. Moving out of the way was Jonathan Rex. Now Josh Wong has just started to encounter some lap traffic, so this could really play into effect. This 1.5 second lead. Linus Broström is going to catch him, indeed, possibly by about 4 laps to go this next time around. Lap 30 of 35. Lap 31 of 35, I should say, this time around. As Broström is going to make his way around the 54 of Robertson here in a few moments. Robertson moves out of the way, giving some space. Clearly does not want to interfere with Broström's race attempts at winning here. But for the time being, It's going to be very close in these final few laps. Sometimes Josh Wong gets the advantage, and sometimes it goes to Broström. Because that gap is now 1.8 seconds, as compared to 1.5 when they entered the road course. Through the chicane on the back straightaway, we're going to watch 1.2 seconds just destroy that gap, essentially. Under a second, just by a thousandth of a second there, that timing sequence. And right now, Broström is quickly closing in on that gap. How far is Josh Wong willing to go to protect that lead? That's a question that he's going to have to ask himself, that Linus is going to ask himself, that everyone here is going to ask, essentially, because you want to protect that lead, but not to the point where you're driving so aggressively to where you're taking out the person in front of you or behind you. Looks just like a small speck here, as Josh Wong is way better on the infield road course as compared to Broström. Broström, however, has the greatest advantage over in the chicane. So we're right on board the back bumper once again. I'm actually into a TV camera here. With 3 laps to go, you can see how much of a distance there is. 2.2 seconds. Now 2.3. And it looks like Broström's lap times may have finally started to even out. So we'll see what the time is through the chicane. Broström makes his way through. 1.8 seconds. So Broström has the advantage in the chicane, but he just has to catch up. 3 laps to go this time by, and locking up the right front is going to be Josh Wong. That's something that we mentioned, messing up. It's something that Broström is going to have to need Josh Wong to do heavily on the curbs as well. But don't want to do that. As much as curbs kind of help, they really don't. They mess up your momentum. Next thing you know, you could be either flipped over or flipped around. So when it was 2.2 seconds here, it is now 1.2 seconds over here, and it's slightly closing, ever so slightly, between these two drivers. It's going to be 2 laps to go at the start-finish line. How much is Linus Broström going to push his car? You can hear he was careful on the exit. As Nacho de Jong is a long ways back, 17 seconds. Oh, look at that. A huge momentum boost to Linus Broström. Josh Wong's tires. Well, they both changed tires essentially on their stop, but Josh Wong is a lot more careful through that chicane on the back straightaway. 2 laps to go this time by. As Josh Wong and Linus Broström has finally closed the gap, Broström needs to figure out when the proper time to make the move is. A huge acceleration boost there in favor of Josh Wong, as compared to Linus Broström, who's being way more careful. So both drivers are careful in their own respects. Josh Wong is careful in the road course. Linus Broström, a little bit of a bobble there. But Linus Broström can fire through that back straight chicane, as compared to Josh Wong, who really takes his time as much as he can, while still keeping that momentum at the same time. He knows how to work this track. As we come, there's the acceleration advantage to Josh Wong on the NASCAR's turn 1 and 2. Riding on board Broström, there's the gap. Look at that complete closing distance. Will he go for the move yet? He's not full throttle. He waited. He's going to wait. He's going to try that move one more time. He knows he's better with 1 lap to go. Will he make the move? No, he decides against it. Into the final chicane. Both drivers on the curb. The bottom of the track. The bottom of the truck rubbing against the ground for the 16 of Josh Wong, as we are now on the last lap. Broström has closed the distance, and he can essentially make this move work if he fires through correctly on the back straight chicane. Just about a half lap to go here as Josh Wong is so much better in the road course section compared to Broström, it seems. Handling it like a charm for that number 16. Exiting the corner, exiting the road course, acceleration advantage to Josh Wong. On to NASCAR's turns 1 and 2. Can Linus Broström close the gap? What will he do? He's got part of the slipstream and he's closing the gap very, very closely through the chicane for the final time. He closes the gap immensely and on 2 wheels. That's going to mess up his momentum. He'll have to dive into the chicane. He took it. He was too aggressive. Coming to the final lap, the checkered flag, this time by, it's going to go to Josh Wong as Broström cuts the corners. Slowdown penalty for the 71. They'll have to stop dead on the racetrack to serve that slowdown penalty, but Josh Wong wins. Broström second. Third place, smoking with an engine as well, is Nigel de Jong. Wonder what... He's going to shut off the engine here. He's just going to coast it through these final this final chicane for third place. As De Jong finishes third, Redford will finish in fourth. Fifth place is points leader into this race, Ian Cornish, onto the curbs. And Josh Wong is victorious here at the Charlotte Roval, the first race that the My Turn Racing Truck Series has done at this track. We're going to see what the heck had happened with Nigel de Jong heading into the final lap. He must have gotten the... oh, he made contact, actually. Here's the thing. He made contact with Jonathan Rex, who was turned around possibly by the 59. A little bit of misjudgment, possibly. Yeah, just a little bit of misjudgment. And then here comes the 41. It does not seem like it's enough damage to really mess up the engine like that, but unfortunately it was enough. As Josh Wong celebrates his win, well, he'll try to, now he does. Josh Wong with the win here at the Charlotte Roval. Running it down as the clouds cover the track. Congratulations to Josh Wong. Your final results here at this race are Josh Wong, Lance Broström, and Nigel de Jong finishing at 1, 2, and 3. Mark Redford finishes 4th. 5th place is Ian Cornish. 6th place will be Carl Hayes. 7th, Jonathan Rex. 8th, John Jarrett. 9th, Michael Jones. And rounding out the top 10 is Adam Wright. Finishing 11th is going to be Mike Robertson. Reese Saunders in 12th. Chris Bourne 13th. 14th, Ken Bracey. Stuart Pomfrey in 15th. Christopher Kearney. Stuart Barnett. David Webb. Jake Forster. Paul Cook 16th through 20th. And Ben Summers did not start this race. So interviews coming up in a few moments here with your race winner of Josh Wong. We'll be back here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. We will not be going to a break, but we will be back in just a couple of moments. Actually, we will be going to a quick commercial break, so we'll be back in a couple of moments. Stay tuned for your post-race interviews.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Back live here at the Charlotte Roval. Standing by here with Michael Jones. Who, we should be getting him in here in just a couple of moments. Michael Jones, do you have us?
Good evening.
Well, hello, and well, you are the sponsor of the race, as I assume. Yep, you are. I should know this by now. My goodness. I'm sorry. I couldn't get your actual logo on here, but it does look nice. I'll see if I can get it during this, though. But of course, he did mention it was in memoriam of the Rockingham, UK oval that was scanned in 2015 and not ever, never put in iRacing ever since. Because even I was excited for it because I was thinking, oh, another Rockingham? Oh, I wonder what this is going to be.
Yeah, I thought it would cause some confusion, but it was scanned, I think, in April 2015, and despite efforts from me, I think they picked Snetterton in the end.
Oh man, of course it was Snetterton. I think that was already
Yeah,
on
well,
the service as well. But either way, though, yeah, it's really disappointing that Rockingham UK is now a parking lot.
yeah, it's becoming a fleet preparation and dismantling plant, I think. And when the planning permission goes through, I think later this year, I think they're tearing up most of the infield tracks and probably leaving the oval. But no, we'll see some racing. I don't think any. Um,
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, especially since I think Texas World Speedway, as I had mentioned, suffered pretty much the same fate. I don't know if it's a parking lot or a store place, but Texas World Speedway over here, the massively large super speedway that used to be a
yeah,
thing, is now pretty much gone.
I think they're putting houses on, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what that is. It only lives on in NR 2003 as well, so if anyone wants to check that
Yeah,
out, go and download that mod.
there was rumours they were going to put housing on it, but I think we can quash that because it's been marked as landfill by the council. So I don't think we'll ever see housing. More likely, just you know, um, fleet preparation sites. Sad, really, but hey, that's business.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is. We're going to go ahead and actually give you a chance to give a shout out to pretty much whoever you want. Then we're going to go ahead and let you go.
Yeah, thank you. Just a big shout out to all the guys. Thank you for a great race, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we will see you next week at Daytona as well. So, well, we'll see you then. So, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So that was Michael Jones, sponsor of the essentially the Rockingham Memorial Race, where again, if you do have NASCAR 2003 season, well, if you don't have it, first of all, download it. It is absolutely insane. Well, buy it if you can, because that thing is pretty rare at this point, or expensive, and you can get the Texas World Speedway over there on the modding service, since it was initially going to be a thing for iRacing, not announced by iRacing, but that's what was in the future suggestions for iRacing itself. We're going to see if we can get Nigel DeJong in here. Hopefully he has a working microphone. Nigel DeJong, do you have a working microphone this week?
I do.
Hey, you do. Hello. Well, you almost had the win, and then unfortunately, it just went away just like that after a few mess ups here and there. But you still managed to come home third place with the smoking engine as well. So that's Kyle Larson levels of finishing right there.
Yeah, I'd say I was running away with it after Reese had his early troubles. It's like a 20-second lead, and there's a lapper sitting there and just decided to back it up right into me. So yeah, I was pretty annoyed with that.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. But on the bright side, they did manage to finish the race at least, and hopefully come out on top just a little bit more, at least close the gap a little bit more to Ian Cornish in the point standings.
Yeah, no, I think in the end, the people I was racing around me all had engine damage as well. So it's just a battle of the slower cars. Yeah, I was happy to make it back up to third. Definitely could have been a worse.
Yeah,
Could have been could
yeah,
have been a drop week, I guess.
yeah, that is true as well. And quick question: you were flying in those opening laps. Did you do any practice at all?
Oh yeah. I'm like not much of a road racer, even though the pace might suggest otherwise. But no, when it comes to stuff like this, if I practice, I can turn some fast laps. So I've been practicing for 3 or 4 days.
That is definitely dedication right there. So congratulations on that. Before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your third place tonight?
I'd like to shout out to myself, I guess, for just staying in it. I was this close to hitting Alt F4, so
Well, it's a good thing you didn't, because you came home third.
definitely.
We are going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your third place.
Yep. Thank you, and see you.
So that was Nigel de Jong. Position at number 3 is where he finished. Next up will be Linus Broström. When we get a word with him, if he is available, I don't believe he is actually. So we may unfortunately skip over Broström and just head straight to Josh Wong. I double check here. I'm not seeing Broström anywhere actually. So okay then. Josh Wong, do you have a copy?
Hi there, Gary.
Oh, goodness. Well, congratulations on that win. You barely managed to hold off Linus Broström there at the near end, but you did manage to do that, so congratulations on that. Even though you were slower in pace, you still somehow just kept it cool, calm, collected, and managed to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that I won that one, honestly, because I was quite a long way off the pace in qualifying. And yeah, it looks like everyone else just kind of tripped themselves up, clipping the curbs, clipping the wall. And I just managed to keep the car undamaged, and I couldn't believe it when kind of one by one everyone started slipping back and having to pit.
Yeah, it was quite interesting, especially since I believe you pit twice, and I believe you pit just one lap after another.
No, I only pit the once, but I did pit earlier than I was kind of expecting to, because I was trying to undercut Reese at the time.
Okay, that is understandable. It must have been someone else then that pitted twice. Unless I'm just imagining something, and I was just imagining the same paint scheme for some reason. But either way, though, you did manage to come out on top, so that's impressive. How's that chicane? Because you seem to be a little bit more careful as compared to Broström, who was just flying through there.
Yeah, that last sector of the track, I was probably about a second slower than everybody else, just because I never really got the hang of that chicane. I've been trying to practice it, but I just kept hitting that kind of final curb way too hard, so I just thought in the race I'll just take my time, but it nearly cost me because Linus had a great run at me 3 laps in a row at the end there.
Yeah, unfortunately, just in that last final lap, he had actually just barely clipped the last curb as well, so in a sense you had gotten pretty lucky there on the back straightaway exit, though.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I got very lucky in general with this race, because I never go into these road races thinking that I'm going to even finish higher than about 5th or 6th, honestly.
I definitely did manage to somehow get a win and create a little bit of an upset as well, so I believe you just might be one or two position, probably just one position up in points at most, so it's going to be interesting to see where that falls. What are your thoughts heading into Daytona for next week?
Daytona's always a fun race, and it's one of those ones where anyone can win it. I had a lot of fun at Talladega earlier in the season, so I'm sure it'll be another similar one. Yeah, at the moment I'm kind of 3rd in the points. I don't really see myself catching Nigel or Ian, but I'm happy to just cement 3rd if I can.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens play out. So who would you like to give a shout out to or thank for your first place here tonight?
I'll give a shout out to my wife on this one, because she's actually downstairs watching this race, as I'm told anyway. I try and get her to watch some of the more interesting ones, like the road races, so yeah, I'll dedicate this one to her.
Oh, it definitely works, because it was actually interesting for sure. So we are going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on your first place.
Brilliant. Cheers, Gary.
That was Josh Wong, as you see the final few corners being made by Broström, where he had to overshoot the corners in the last ditch attempt, trying to find some type of momentum, but unfortunately it just did not play out. So next week for the My Turn Racing Truck Series, as mentioned, we do head to Daytona. And for the Red Light Scrambler Series tomorrow night, we head to Kansas in the Xfinity race. That is about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope to see you then. But until then, congratulations to Josh Wong on his win here at the Charlotte Roval. after somehow, someway managing to hold off Lance Broström on the final lap. We hope to see you next time on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. We thank you for watching, and goodbye.